In the bustling city of Varanpur, there lived an old beggar. People knew him as Faqeer, which meant poor fellow in Hindi. Faqeer spent his days sitting silently at the foot of an ancient temple, silently enduring the jeers and taunts of passers-by. Despite his age, he never asked for money. Instead, he seemed content to stare vacantly at his rusty tin bowl. To the townspeople, Faqeer was a mystery, an enigma they'd rather ignore. Once a wealthy merchant turned beggar, driven by insatiable greed and haunted by a tragic past, he rushed to the school to find many of the children stranded and scared. With the help of the townspeople, Raghu managed to save most of the kids. However, while carrying a heavy beam to clear a path, he slipped and fell into a drain, injuring his leg. As he struggled to get out, he saw Faqeer approaching. Without hesitation, Faqeer jumped into the water and helped Raghu to safety. "You go check on the others?" Faqeer said, handing him a slate. "I need your help." Realizing the gravity of the situation, Raghu nodded and ran off. When he returned, Faqeer was nowhere to be seen. He searched frantically, calling out Faqeer's name. But the old man had vanished. Fearing the worst, Raghu quickly alerted the townspeople. Together, they searched for Faqeer, but he was nowhere to be found. They soon realized that he had sacrificed himself to save others. The realization struck him that Faqeer was not merely a beggar, but a man wrestling with his demons. He ensured that the children received the best education possible, cherishing Faqeer's wisdom and guidance. His story, a testament to the transformative power of compassion and selflessness, echoed through the halls of the school he built, reminding all who entered that true greatness often goes unrecognized. Over the years, the school flourished, becoming a beacon of hope and opportunity for many underprivileged children. Raghu, once a scavenger, became the head of the institution, always remembering the words of the enigmatic beggar who changed his life forever. From that day on, Raghu became Faqeer's shadow, assisting him at the school, fetching books and water for the children. Learning from the old man who was revered as he also shared Faqeer's meals and slept beside him under the temple steps. One day, however, a 12-year-old boy named Raghu decided to unravel this mystery. Unlike the others, Raghu didn't mock Faqeer. Instead, he was fascinated by him. Peeking through a broken window, he saw a sight that made him gasp. For a moment, Faqeer didn't reply. He just stared at the ground, his gaze distant. Then, slowly, as if sharing a heavy burden, he began to speak. "My name is Ranveer Singh," he said, his voice hoarse with emotion. "I wasn't always like this, boy. I used to be rich. My Haveli was filled with treasures from around the world, and my garages housed rows of fine cars." Hearing this, Raghu was astounded. The ragged beggar was once a wealthy merchant. What had driven him to such despair? "But what?" Raghu asked, puzzled. "Why would a man abandon his riches?" Ranveer sighed, his shoulders slumping. "It was greed, pure and simple. I craved more wealth, more power. I wanted it all." He paused, his eyes clouding with shame. "Then one day I learned that the orphanage on the outskirts of town had some prime real estate. I tricked them into selling it to me so I could build a factory. That same night, due to my carelessness, the factory caught fire. Dozens of innocent children who had sought shelter nearby lost their lives. Their cries still haunt my sleep. Overcome with guilt and grief, Ranveer abandoned his old life. He gave up his name and his fortune and devoted himself to atoning for his sins. He started the school to give underprivileged children a chance at a better life. Inside the dilapidated building were 60 to 70 children, their clothes tattered but their faces shining with happiness. They were seated on rickety wooden benches, poring over slates as an elderly woman with a kind smile guided them in their studies. Faqeer approached the woman and handed her his bowl filled with coins. She took it, her wrinkled face breaking into a grateful smile. "God bless you, Faqeer. These children owe their future to you." Realization dawned on Raghu. This beggar, whom everyone mocked, was funding a secret school for orphan children. But what? And who was he really? Every day on his way home from scavenging for scraps, Raghu would pass by the temple and steal glances at the silent beggar. One afternoon, driven by his curiosity, he decided to follow. As dusk settled over Veranpur, Faqeer rose and shuffled into a narrow alley. Raghu, his heart pounding, followed close behind. The next day, armed with newfound determination, Raghu approached Faqeer. "Who are you?" he blurted out. "Why do you do that?" Raghu listened intently, his young mind grappling with the weight of the story. Then one night, a devastating flood hit. Raghu awoke to the sound of rushing water and desperate cries for help. Heartbroken yet inspired, Raghu kept Faqeer's memory alive by continuing his work at the school. And so the tale of Faqeer, the silent beggar with a heart of gold, continued to be whispered in the bustling city of